Hey, Nathan again. I have another fantastic guest today. His name is Rob Whatley, and he is at AVI Systems. Rob, great to have you on board.
I am glad to be here, Nathan. It's good to see you again, my friend. It's been a little bit of time since we've had a chance to converse, but I love this platform.
Glad to have you on. So let's just dive right into it. Lots of great things happening in our industry. Last year was an interesting year. There were a lot of ups and downs, but this year it seems like things are turning a corner. So talk about the industry. What are you seeing? What's hot? What's not? Just for our viewers to understand kind of where customers are going with AV this year.
Yeah, it's interesting because a lot of the new things are some of the old things we've been talking about for quite some time. For instance, Nathan, we've been talking about Interop for a long time,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
We're starting to see some of the vendors or the platform folks trying to get it together, right? The manufacturers as well, working from an interop perspective. We've got vendors out there also basically using two codecs that have two different platforms on them. So we're starting to see more and more work around interop. High impact spaces. We're trying to, as an industry, or companies out there in general, trying to get folks back into the office. So we're designing these spaces to actually bring them back in. The other thing we're seeing is, especially in the United States, this decrease in BYOD. We're seeing a little bit more of the native experience starting to come up to the forefront here from what we're experiencing here at AVI. And then finally, gosh, lots of conversations around workspace reservations, my friend.
That's great. It's funny you mentioned BYOD because it's definitely not as popular in the US. US for sure. I know it's some parts of Canada, but in
Yeah.
other parts of the world, it's still king and actually growing, right? If you look at the Middle East, you look at India, there are some room systems and native room systems, as you put it, for sure. And those are growing as well. But it's amazing how many people have said, you know what, BYOD is for us, and we've already trained all our people on how to hook up their laptop and choose the mic and camera and stuff like that. So we're just going to stick with it because it's simple. And I also think
Yeah.
obviously there's a cost involved, right? Because you can obviously
Oh,
start with a
absolutely.
webcam if you really wanted to. But that's
Yeah.
just an interesting thing that it's just not as big in the US, or at least in North America.
It's interesting, even with BID from a North America perspective, the subject that what I brought up last, workspace reservations, is almost fits into that category a little bit with BYOD. It's like
True.
more about bringing your laptop, right?
Yeah.
Maybe a camera, something like that, but it fits into that category as well. But definitely in the United States, we're not seeing nearly as much of it. We're seeing more of a native move forward than we've ever have before.
So since you mentioned workspace reservations, obviously we have products both on the software and the hardware side. We also work with our partners really closely, both Microsoft,
Yeah.
Zoom. So tell us a little bit about how you're seeing the demand for that and what you're deploying, what customers are asking for.
So it's an interesting subject. As a matter of fact, every time I talk to a customer, this subject actually comes up. The fact that we have this hybrid workforce and a lot of these folks are not actually in the office. Like me, for instance, I am not in the office. I am hybrid, or basically I work from home all the time. However, when I do go to an office, I want to have something reserved. So a lot of our industry partners, companies out there want some to do some of the same things. So we're starting to see customers ask for some type of a workspace reservation system whereby their internal customers can come to the office and actually reserve a space.
Now, it's weird, right? Because hot desking's been around for a long time. But I think what's really changing the demand now is that because people, like you said, are not coming in daily, there's more and more folks that are deploying hot desks. And
Yeah,
maybe before you just walk in, not maybe, this was definitely true. You'd walk in, okay, there's a blank desk or there's no one there. You'd steal it or take it, or then you'd figure out, I know, how to hook up your laptop and all
yeah,
that stuff. It's just too much
yeah,
work. And I think that's the reason why we said, listen, we're going to get into this space because there's a better way to do this. Everything from the
yeah,
scheduling side all the way down to the hardware that actually enables it. Of course, there's many ways to do it and lots of different
sure.
ways, lots of different technologies you can actually include, from the webcam to the keyboards and mice to the physical dock that actually helps you reserve, and then the software. So
Yeah,
I think it's just we're getting started. Really, so much
yeah.
more we can do in this space.
Absolutely. And there's a lot of folks out there that are doing this. We are experimenting right now from a POC perspective with your product, Logitech Flex. We have several versions of Dock Flex in several of our offices that we're experimenting with. One, obviously, it's the Logi version of that with Logi Sync, whereby I can use an app to book my reservations in my San Diego office, for instance. Then there is the Microsoft Teams version of that as well, where basically whoever has Microsoft and Outlook currently and they want to schedule, they do it the normal way. It's the same workflow as booking your own conference room. And then there's also the Zoom version of that, where you use the Zoom app to book the reservations. So there's a lot of different ways to do it. We're doing a proof of concept because, believe it or not, even as AV IT company, we have the need for those as well, because we also, from a hybrid perspective as well, we want to have sensors and things like that to let us know, or some intelligence to let us know who's coming into the office and who's not coming to the office, or whether or not some of these companies, they may have high-rise buildings, and Tuesdays and Thursdays, some of these companies, the personnel that are coming in, they are only using 2 floors, right, instead of the top 2 floors.
Yeah, absolutely.
We want some intelligence from a system perspective. So, you know what? On Wednesday and Friday, let's close down those and save some money on HVAC and everything else, and have those folks that are coming in focus on these bottom 2 floors. So there's a lot of different applications for it. But the fact of the matter is that we're seeing a lot of questions, and we're seeing this part of the industry ramp up because it's a perfect fit for the times that we're going through.
It really is. And I think we built our own platform, one, because some people just don't know what they want to use. But if you're all Microsoft, you want to keep them in the Microsoft workflow. So that's why you use Microsoft Teams on these devices. Same thing with Zoom. If you already deployed Zoom Rooms and the entire Zoom ecosystem, it makes sense to stay with the Zoom app running on Logitech Flex. In no way do we want to compete necessarily with all these providers, because they're our partners. But we do want to make sure that the workflow stays the same. So if you want to keep it in the Teams workflow, you can use Teams, Zoom for Zoom. If you don't have an option, obviously we have a great option as well that the customers can explore. So I think, like I said, I think we're getting started. This is a really exciting space.
Yeah, no, I agree. And we often talk to our customers because of the use case and the workflow, just about what you just said. There's different categories or different manufacturers you want to use, but without us talking to that customer about their use cases, workflows, or expectations, we can't work with them on which platform they may want to use for workspace reservations. All I can say is this, Nathan, all of our customers are talking about this subject.
That's it. That's good. I think the timing was just really good. To be honest, everyone is still trying to figure out their way back to the office and what that means. Is it 1 day? Is it 9 days? Is it, God, 9 days? That would be terrible, wouldn't it? No, 5 days. It's as it is, we're trying to get to 4 days, so I should not be saying 9 days, because we're going the wrong direction. But hey, this has been great, Rob. Thank you so much for taking the time. Thank you for being here, and it's great to see you as well.
I can't wait to actually have more subjects to talk about with you, my friend.
There's always lots of subjects to talk about. We'll have you on pretty soon as well. Thanks, Rob.
We'll see. Thank you.
With that, folks, that's another show. That's a wrap. See you next time.